Peace has never been distant. It has only been hidden beneath restless thinking. Through creating peace, within, you are gently guided back to your silent center, where the breath deepens and awareness awakens. The mind begins to slow naturally, like still water after a storm. You stop searching for tranquility outside yourself. You realize it has always lived within. Creating peace within. Introduction. In the quiet unfolding of your days, the mind has learned to remain in motion. Thoughts rise one after another, weaving concerns, memories, and expectations into a continuous inner current. Over time, this movement has felt normal, even necessary, yet it has gently drawn your attention away from the sacred stillness that has never ceased to live within you. The universe does not reveal its mysteries through urgency or force. It speaks softly, through calm awareness, through moments when the mind becomes clear enough to listen. Like starlight mirrored upon an undisturbed lake, truth is only reflected when inner waters are still. When thought rushes endlessly, the reflection trembles, and the remembrance of your deeper nature grows faint. Stillness cannot be commanded, nor must it be pursued. It arrives naturally the moment you stop resisting what is. Your breath becomes your quiet guide, drawing you out of thought and back into presence. Each gentle inhale gathers you into the now. Each unhurried exhale loosens the mind's grip, allowing awareness to rest where it belongs. Peace reveals itself when you no longer struggle with restlessness. As you observe the mind without judgment, its urgency begins to dissolve on its own. Thoughts lose their weight and drift like leaves returning to the earth. This is not control, and it is not effort. It is the grace of allowing life to settle itself. In this soft awakening, you realize that peace was never something to be achieved. It has always surrounded your experience, like the vast sky behind passing clouds. You are not asked to create tranquility, only to notice what temporarily veils it. As attention deepens, those veils fall away, and you return, gently, naturally, to the silent home that has always been yours. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening of Presence. Chapter 1. The Noise Before the Peace. In a small cafe bathed in morning light, Elsie gazes through the window, her reflection mingling with the passing street scene outside. Her coffee sits untouched, growing cold as her thoughts spiral into an intricate dance of self-consciousness. You recognize this moment, for it mirrors countless instances in your own life where presence gives way to endless mental commentary. Watch how Elsie's mind weaves elaborate stories about her silence. "Perhaps they think I'm antisocial," she muses, adjusting her posture to appear more at ease while anxiety tightens her shoulders. "I should say something. But what?" Each passing minute becomes an opportunity for analysis rather than experience, until the simple act of sitting in a cafe transforms into an exhausting performance. The mind, in its relentless effort to perfect the moment, actually prevents you from living it. Like Elsie, you may find yourself trapped in the paradox of trying to orchestrate natural peace, forgetting that tranquility arises not from thinking about it, but from stepping back from thought itself. Later that day, Dottie stands amid a mountain of unfinished tasks, her thoughts racing with deadlines and obligations. Then, through her open window, the wind rustles the leaves of an old oak tree. For one precious moment, the mental chatter ceases. She neither plans nor remembers. She simply exists, breathing in perfect harmony with the world around her. This is not an extraordinary event, yet in its simplicity lies the essence of spiritual awakening. Such moments reveal that peace requires no special circumstances. It emerges naturally when you pause the endless internal dialogue and allow yourself to simply be. The wind still blows, the tasks remain undone, yet something shifts. Awareness moves from the story about life to life itself. Sacred practice, the pause of being. Find a quiet space and settle into stillness. Acknowledge your thinking mind with gentle appreciation. It has served you well. Now, ever so softly, turn your attention to the space between thoughts. Don't try to create silence. Simply notice it when it appears naturally, like gaps between clouds in the sky. Let each breath draw you deeper into the miracle of pure existence before words shape experience into story. Allow the universe to complete what thought begins, ending each mental sentence with the eloquence of silence. Chapter 2. The Doorway of Awareness. Through the gentle bustle of the cafe, we glimpse another truth in Arthur, whose life unfolds in the tyranny of tomorrow. His leather-bound planner becomes both shield and prison, each hour mapped with precision that leaves no room for life's spontaneous dance. You know this place well, the endless scheduling, the compulsive planning that turns each moment into mere preparation for the next. Yet when Arthur's cherished notebook vanishes one afternoon, something extraordinary happens. The initial wave of panic subsides into an unexpected clearing, like storm clouds parting to reveal pristine sky. Without his carefully constructed framework, Arthur finds himself thrust into the raw poetry of the present. For the first time in years, he truly sees the world around him, the way sunlight plays on leaves, the rhythm of his own breathing, the subtle symphony of street sounds he had long forgotten. This is the nature of awareness. It arrives not through careful orchestration, but through the blessed collapse of our illusions of control. The universe conspires to shake loose our grip, inviting us into a deeper intelligence that needs no planning to unfold perfectly. Consider Marian, who discovered this truth through the ancient practice of candlelight meditation. Each evening she would sit before a single flame, watching her mind's desperate attempts to narrate, analyze, and control the experience. Yet as the minutes passed, something shifted. The mental commentary began to fade, replaced by a presence so pure it felt like grace itself. In that space beyond thought, Marian found what her mind had always sought but could never manufacture: natural order, effortless flow, true peace. The wisdom revealed through Arthur and Marian's experiences speaks to the heart of spiritual awakening. When you release the need to orchestrate every detail, life reveals its inherent harmony. Awareness itself becomes the guide, far wiser than any plan the mind could devise. Practice. Choose one ordinary moment today, perhaps drinking your morning tea or walking to your door. Let this simple act become your sanctuary. Bring your full attention to it without analysis or judgment. Notice the sensations, the movements, the subtle energies at play. Allow this single moment to teach you the art of pure presence, where life flows not by force, but by grace. Chapter 3. The Weight of Imagined Problems. In the heart of a bustling city, Clara sits at her desk, weaving intricate tapestries of worry. Her mind crafts elaborate dialogues, defending herself against criticism not yet spoken, preparing responses to questions still unasked. Each imagined scenario wraps tighter around her spirit like invisible threads, until her breath grows shallow and her shoulders ache with tension. The ancient wisdom whispers, "Most of your suffering springs not from what is, but from what might be." Your mind creates endless dress rehearsals for plays that will never see opening night. This mental choreography exhausts your spirit while life's actual dance passes unnoticed. When you release these phantom futures, a profound truth emerges. The present moment holds no argument, no defense needed. It simply is. Your suffering exists primarily in imagination's realm, in the stories you weave about what could happen, might happen, should happen. Yet reality itself remains pure, unmarked by these mental projections. Leonard's tale illuminates this wisdom. A perfectionist who measured his worth through flawless execution, he lived in constant vigilance against potential mistakes. One evening, while hosting dinner, he dropped a cherished plate. In that suspended moment between the slip and shatter, something shifted. As porcelain met floor, an unexpected smile crossed his face. The dreaded mistake had happened, yet the world continued turning. In the freedom of that broken plate, Leonard found release from perfection's prison. The universe speaks through such moments, showing how peace blooms naturally when you stop demanding that life conform to your specifications. Your endless mental rehearsals serve only to distance you from the simple truth before you. This breath, this sensation, this immediate experience. Most minds function like busy theaters, constantly staging dramas of future confrontations, imagined failures, and anticipated pain. Yet consciousness itself remains like the vast sky, boundless, clear, untroubled by the clouds of thought passing through it. Your true nature mirrors this spaciousness, this inherent peace that requires no defense, no preparation, no perfection. Consider how much energy you spend scripting responses to situations that never materialize. Notice how these rehearsals rob the present moment of its natural ease. The path to peace lies not in perfect preparation, but in perfect presence. Practice. As worries arise throughout your day, pause and witness them as passing clouds in the vast sky of your awareness. Don't try to chase them away or solve them. Simply observe their movement through your consciousness. Notice how they appear, float past, and dissolve on their own when not given the energy of belief. Let each concern remind you to return to the spaciousness of your true nature, where peace requires no preparation. Chapter 4. The Body Remembers Calm. The weight of your thoughts creates an invisible prison, binding you to fears that exist only in imagination. Yet within you lies a sanctuary of peace, waiting to be remembered through the wisdom of the body's own knowing. In the bustling heart of commerce, Mabel moved through her days trapped in endless mental rehearsals. Each meeting became a stage for projected worries, her mind racing ahead to craft perfect responses to questions not yet asked. The endless internal dialogue left her exhausted, disconnected from the simple miracle of being present. Then one morning, she discovered an ancient truth. The body holds wisdom deeper than thought. Before entering the conference room, she paused. Instead of indulging the familiar spiral of anxiety, she directed her breath downward, feeling it travel like a golden thread from crown to toe. In that moment, something shifted. The racing thoughts lost their grip as awareness sank into the body's natural rhythm. The universe speaks through such moments of embodied presence. When you release the mind's constant reaching toward tomorrow, you discover that your physical form is a temple of profound knowing. Your body does not worry about what might be. It exists purely in the eternal now, teaching you through sensation what the mind struggles to grasp through thought. This truth revealed itself to Percy in an unexpected moment of grace. Standing at his sink, hands immersed in warm, soapy water, the simple sensation drew him out of his head and into pure presence. The dishes became teachers, each one inviting him to feel rather than think his way through life. In that ordinary moment, he touched the extraordinary, the peace that lives beneath mental activity. Here lies a great secret. Embodiment is the bridge between thought and being. When awareness descends from the floating realm of mind into the anchored wisdom of the body, peace naturally emerges. Your physical form knows how to be present. It has never left this moment. Practice. Sit comfortably and allow your attention to follow your breath as it moves downward through your body. Feel it traveling like a gentle stream from your head, through your chest, into your belly, and down to your feet. Let each breath unite mind with heartbeat, allowing your body to teach your thoughts the art of stillness. Rest in this embodied presence for several minutes, returning whenever thoughts pull you away. Chapter 5. Letting Feelings Flow. In the gentle hours before dawn, Hazel sat at her window, a cup of untouched tea growing cold beside her. Like so many who walk this earth, she believed that sorrow was a puzzle to be solved, a riddle that yielded to the persistent probe of analysis. Each feeling became a labyrinth of why and how, her mind circling endlessly through explanations and solutions. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, whispers a deeper truth. Emotions are not problems awaiting resolution, but energies seeking acknowledgement. When you resist the natural flow of feeling, attempting to think your way free of pain, you unknowingly anchor yourself more deeply in suffering. Listen well to this ancient teaching. The heart knows what the mind cannot grasp. Your emotions are like water. They must flow to find their natural course. When you dam them behind walls of thought, they only gather force, waiting for release. Witness how Hazel discovered this truth. One morning, weary of resistance, she simply allowed her tears to fall without attaching a single story to their descent. In that pure moment of surrender, something extraordinary occurred. Her grief, no longer held captive by analysis, transformed into spaciousness. The very sadness that had seemed eternal began to move like clouds across the vast sky of awareness. This wisdom echoes through the ages. What you fully feel, you freely release. Your emotions require neither justification nor solution. They ask only for the grace of your presence. Norman, a wise soul who had walked this path before, embodied this understanding in the simplest of gestures. Feeling waves of emotion rise within his chest, he placed his hand upon his heart and spoke one word: yes. In that moment of pure acceptance, every sharp edge of resistance softened, every mental barrier dissolved. Here lies the key to emotional freedom. Acceptance is not defeat, but liberation. When you cease trying to solve your feelings and instead welcome them as honored guests, they naturally complete their journey through you. The mind seeks to manage what the heart knows to embrace. Your sadness, your joy, your fear. These are not obstacles to peace, but doorways to deeper presence. Each emotion carries its own wisdom, its own medicine, when met with gentle awareness rather than strategic thinking. Practice. In the sacred tradition of those who have walked this path before you, practice welcoming each emotion like weather passing through your inner sky. Remember, you are the vast, unchanging awareness in which all feelings arise and dissolve. You are the sky, never the storm. Let each emotion move through you without resistance, knowing that your true nature remains untouched by these passing clouds of experience. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Control. A silk merchant once carried precious fabrics across the desert, planning each step of his journey with meticulous precision. Like Millie, he believed control was the path to success. Each morning he would rise before dawn, checking his maps, calculating distances, and scheduling moments of rest with rigid exactness. Yet the desert, ancient and wise, held different plans. You too may recognize this pattern within yourself, the careful orchestration of life's moments, as if joy could be summoned by appointment. Millie's story mirrors this universal tendency. She marked her calendar with designated times for happiness, penciled in moments for peace, and scheduled spontaneity with earnest determination. Yet true joy, like a butterfly, remained elusive to her grasping hands. The universe operates through a wisdom far deeper than human planning. When you attempt to direct life's flow with the limited vision of your mind, you exhaust yourself swimming against the current of divine timing. Control is an illusion that promises security, but delivers only tension. A lesson Millie learned through the gentle persistence of life's natural rhythm. Witness how Floyd's transformation unfolded. A merchant who built his life around predictability, he guarded his plans like precious jewels. Yet one day, when circumstances forced him to release his grip on certainty, he stumbled upon an unexpected truth. As his carefully constructed schedule fell apart, something remarkable emerged from the spaces between his plans. Peace arrived disguised as surprise, wearing the face of spontaneity. The ancient teachings speak of this paradox. In surrender lies your greatest power. When you release the need to orchestrate every moment, you open yourself to the intelligence that moves the stars and turns the seasons. This is not passive resignation, but active participation in life's unfolding wisdom. True security does not come from controlling circumstances, but from aligning with the flow that already knows your destination. Just as a river naturally finds its way to the sea, your life holds an inherent intelligence that surpasses all planning. Trust is simply the mind's exhale, a gentle release into the arms of this greater wisdom. Practice. Find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Begin by taking a full, deep breath, filling your lungs completely. Then, as you exhale fully and completely, whisper softly, "I allow." Feel the natural pause at the end of your breath. This is the space where trust dwells. In this moment of surrender, experience how life naturally completes what planning cannot. Let each breath become a small act of trust, a gentle release into the wisdom that carries you. Chapter 7. The Gift of Simplicity. In a distant village lived a weaver named Ruth, who filled her days with intricate patterns of thought. Each morning began with lengthy analysis of her dreams, followed by careful consideration of every possible meaning behind each conversation. She maintained extensive journals documenting her observations, theories, and interpretations about life's smallest moments. While others simply experienced the sunrise, Ruth constructed elaborate frameworks to understand its significance. The universe speaks through whispers, not through the clamor of endless thought. When you fill every moment with analysis, you leave no space for wisdom to enter. Your mind, like Ruth's, may believe that understanding comes through complexity, but truth reveals itself in life's simplest moments. One morning, as Ruth sat surrounded by her journals and lists, a gentle breeze swept through her open window, scattering her papers. In that moment of disorder, something shifted. The simple sensation of air against her skin awakened her to a profound reality. Life needed no interpretation. The breeze simply was, and in its pure existence lay a deeper truth than all her written contemplations. This is the hidden law that governs inner peace. Simplicity dissolves complexity. When you release the need to understand everything, understanding naturally flows. When you cease trying to decode every experience, meaning reveals itself. The universe operates through elegant simplicity, not through tangles of thought. In another time, there lived a man named Calvin, who spent his days as a temple keeper. Each morning, he would sweep the temple's wooden porch, a task others viewed as mundane. Yet Calvin discovered that within this simple act lay a gateway to profound peace. The rhythmic movement of the broom, the soft whisper of bristles against wood, the gradual clearing of space, these became his meditation. He found that when attention rests fully in a single simple act, the mind's complexity dissolves into clarity. Your life contains countless such moments, opportunities to find sanctuary in simplicity. Each ordinary task holds the potential for extraordinary presence. When you pour water into a glass, let that act be complete in itself. When you fold clothes, let each movement be a practice in presence. These are not merely tasks to be completed, but gateways to stillness. Ancient practice. Find one simple activity in your day: washing dishes, tending plants, arranging items on a shelf. Approach it as a sacred ritual, giving it your complete attention. Notice how the mind tries to elaborate, to add meaning or significance. Gently return to the pure simplicity of the action itself. Let this be your practice in allowing peace to emerge through the gateway of ordinary moments. Chapter 8. Listening Beyond Words. In a distant mountain village lived an old weaver named Edna. Each morning she would hurry to the marketplace, desperately seeking connection through endless chatter with merchants and neighbors. Her words flowed like a rushing river, leaving no space for breath between thoughts. She feared the emptiness of quiet moments, filling every silence with stories and questions, yet never feeling truly heard or understood. The wisdom you seek lies not in the ceaseless stream of words, but in the sacred spaces between them. Like Edna, you may find yourself filling every moment with sound, afraid that silence means solitude. Yet it is precisely in those quiet intervals that the deepest communion occurs. When you learn to embrace the power of silence, you discover that it speaks volumes. The universe communicates through stillness, revealing truths that words alone cannot convey. In the pause between breaths, in the hush between heartbeats, wisdom flows naturally. Edna's transformation began one autumn evening as she sat with her oldest friend. For the first time, instead of rushing to fill the air with words, she allowed silence to settle between them like soft snow. In that moment, something shifted. The quiet wasn't empty. It was alive with understanding. She felt more connected in that wordless exchange than in all her years of constant conversation. Vernon, a shepherd in the same village, made a similar discovery while sharing a meal with his childhood companion. As they spoke of their lives, he noticed the spaces between their words, not as gaps to be filled, but as bridges of understanding. In these intervals, he sensed the unspoken messages, the shared memories, the mutual care that needed no verbal expression. This truth extends beyond human interaction. When you quiet your mind and listen deeply, you begin to hear the whispers of the universe. The space between thoughts becomes a sanctuary where wisdom dwells. In silence, you discover that true understanding flows, not from the mind, but from the heart. The moments of quiet between words are like the white space on a page. They give meaning to what surrounds them. Just as music requires rests to create melody, conversation needs silence to convey its deepest truths. When you learn to value these pauses, you open yourself to a more profound level of connection. Sacred practice. During your next conversation, attend mindfully to the pauses between words. Notice how understanding flows in these quiet spaces. Feel how love resides not in the words themselves, but in the silent moments they frame. Let these intervals become doorways to deeper connection, revealing the unspoken language of the heart. Chapter 9. The Mind as Servant. In a seaside town, Betty spent her days crafting elaborate plans for happiness. She filled notebooks with detailed strategies, believing that perfect preparation would lead to perfect moments. Yet, with each carefully plotted joy, satisfaction slipped further away. Her mind constructed endless prerequisites, first this achievement, then that milestone, until finally she would allow herself to experience delight. The universe whispers its wisdom in the language of intuition, not calculation. When you release the grip of endless planning, a deeper intelligence emerges. This knowing flows from the wellspring of your authentic self, carrying messages far more valuable than any mental strategy could devise. Your mind serves as a magnificent instrument, but it was never meant to lead the orchestra of your life. That role belongs to the heart's quiet wisdom. When you yield to this natural order, thought becomes the faithful servant rather than the overbearing master. The mind excels at implementing inspiration, not at manufacturing it. Consider Wallace, a craftsman who had always approached his work with meticulous blueprints. One morning, drawn by an inexplicable urge, he set aside his plans and simply allowed his hands to move across the canvas. As he surrendered to this formless guidance, something extraordinary emerged, a design more beautiful and harmonious than anything his calculations could have conceived. The revelation lies not in abandoning thought altogether, but in restoring it to its proper place. Your analytical mind serves best when it follows the heart's lead, translating intuitive knowing into practical form. This is the natural order of creation. First, the spark of inspiration, then the skillful manifestation. You may notice resistance to this approach, for the mind cherishes its perceived control. Yet true mastery comes through trust in the wisdom that precedes thought. When you align with this flow, ideas arrive with an ease and grace that no amount of mental effort can produce. Ancient practice of inner attunement. Before beginning any endeavor, pause in the silence of your being. Rather than immediately plotting how to proceed, open yourself to the whispers of inner guidance. Ask quietly, "What wants to emerge through me?" Allow the answer to arise naturally, like a bubble floating to the surface of still water. Only then, let your mind engage to give form to this pure inspiration. In this way, you honor both the source of wisdom and the tool of thought, each in its rightful role. Chapter 10. The Peace of Not Knowing. The mind serves as a remarkable instrument, yet it need not dominate your existence. Like a skilled musician who knows when to let silence speak between notes, wisdom flows most freely when thought becomes the servant rather than the master. Your authentic power emerges not from endless mental gymnastics, but from the quiet space where inspiration dwells. Consider how a flower opens to sunlight without consulting a manual or creating a strategic plan. Nature's intelligence flows through all living things, including you. When you release the need to direct every moment through thought, life reveals its inherent harmony. In the depths of your being lies an ancient wisdom that transcends rational analysis. This knowing whispers through intuition, through the subtle nudges of your heart, through the quiet certainty that arrives unbidden in moments of surrender. The mind's role is not to generate this wisdom, but to receive and implement it. Dorothy exemplifies this truth. She once approached each day armed with defenses against uncertainty, her mind constantly scanning for potential problems to solve. Every unknown variable triggered an avalanche of worry, each possibility demanding to be analyzed and controlled. Yet one morning, while watching dewdrops catch the sunrise, something shifted. Instead of trying to predict or manage the day ahead, she allowed herself to wonder at the simple miracle before her. In that moment, her relationship with uncertainty transformed. Rather than viewing the unknown as a threat requiring mental solutions, she began to see it as an invitation to discovery. Curiosity awakened within her like a long-forgotten friend, replacing the exhausting vigil of constant vigilance. She found that when she stopped trying to think her way to peace, serenity arose naturally from embracing life's mysteries. This same wisdom revealed itself to Irving on a clear night beneath countless stars. As he gazed upward, his usual impulse to categorize and comprehend fell away. He realized he didn't need to name each point of light or understand its composition to feel deeply at home in their presence. The vastness above him wasn't a puzzle to solve, but a mystery to behold. In that acceptance, he discovered a peace that no amount of knowledge could provide. The universe operates through an intelligence far beyond the mind's capacity to grasp. When you release the need to understand everything, to plan for every contingency, you open yourself to this greater wisdom. Mystery becomes not an enemy to conquer, but a field in which love can flourish. Just as the ocean knows how to move with the moon's pull, your spirit knows how to dance with life's unfolding. The mind's role is to support this dance, not to choreograph every step. When you trust the deeper currents of existence, uncertainty becomes the very soil from which your joy can grow. Ancient practice. Sit quietly and breathe softly. As thoughts arise about what you cannot know or control, imagine each question as a gentle cloud. Let these clouds float in your awareness without demanding answers. Feel how the sky of your being remains vast and peaceful, holding all uncertainty with infinite tenderness. Allow yourself to rest in the spaciousness of not knowing, trusting that mystery itself is a form of grace. Part 2. The Garden of Release. Chapter 11. The Shadow of Self-Judgment. In a small village beneath ancient mountains, Minnie sat before her mirror each morning, turning self-reflection into self-persecution. Her eyes found every flaw. Her mind crafted elaborate judgments about being judgmental, until criticism wrapped around itself like a serpent consuming its own tail. Each attempt to improve only deepened the spiral of self-blame. This reveals one of the most subtle tricks of the mind, the way it disguises judgment as spiritual growth. You may recognize this pattern in yourself. The endless cycle of trying to perfect your thoughts, only to judge yourself for having judgmental thoughts. The ego often wears the mask of conscience, whispering that enlightenment means eliminating all flaws. Yet wisdom teaches that true transformation begins not with harsh correction, but with gentle acceptance. When you fight against your thoughts, you only strengthen their grip. The path to peace lies in meeting yourself with the same compassion you would offer a beloved friend. Edgar discovered this truth one ordinary morning. Standing before his mirror, he noticed the familiar urge to critique his appearance, to measure himself against impossible standards. But something shifted in that moment. Instead of following the well-worn path of self-improvement, he simply smiled. Not because he approved of everything he saw, but because he dared to offer himself unconditional friendship. In that smile lay a profound truth. You need not earn your own acceptance. The very act of meeting yourself with kindness, especially when you feel undeserving, opens the door to genuine transformation. This is not about lowering standards or accepting harmful behaviors. It's about recognizing that lasting change flows from love, not from war with yourself. When you cease the endless project of self-improvement and begin the practice of self-embrace, something remarkable occurs. The very judgments you fought so hard to eliminate begin to soften on their own, like ice melting in warm sunlight. This is the paradox at the heart of spiritual growth. What you resist persists. What you embrace transforms. Practice. Find a quiet moment before your mirror. Rather than searching for flaws or attempting to improve what you see, simply meet your own gaze with tenderness. Notice the habitual impulse to judge or correct, and instead offer yourself the gift of unconditional presence. Let this be a moment of truce in the war with yourself, a pause in the endless campaign of self-improvement. Simply breathe and allow yourself to be exactly as you are. The mirror becomes a threshold to self-compassion when you choose to see with the heart rather than the critical mind. In this gentle gaze lies the seed of true transformation, not through force, but through friendship with yourself. Chapter 12. The Gentle Art of Letting Go. The mountains hold ancient wisdom about letting go. In a small village among timeless peaks lived Clifton, who transformed his home into a sanctuary of memories. Every surface displayed photographs, every drawer contained mementos, every corner preserved fragments of moments past. His collection grew until walking through his house felt like moving through a museum of what was, rather than what could be. The weight of preservation became a chain, binding him to shadows of former joys and sorrows. Each object whispered stories of who he once was, until those whispers drowned out the voice of who he might become. His identity became so entangled with these artifacts that the thought of releasing them felt like erasing himself. Yet the universe speaks through unexpected channels. As Clifton watched dust settle on his treasures, he began to understand a truth that sages have known through ages. Holding on too tightly prevents new blessings from entering. Just as nature releases autumn leaves to welcome spring's renewal, the soul must create space for fresh experiences to bloom. When you cling to past moments, believing they define your essence, you mistake the photograph for the photographer. Your true self is not the collection of experiences you've gathered, but the awareness that witnesses them. Like a vast sky containing countless clouds, you remain unchanged while memories pass through you. In the valley below Clifton's village lived Lila, who carried the weight of old letters in her heart. Each one represented an unspoken word, an unresolved ending, a thread still pulling at her spirit. One dawn, she walked to the river that had flowed since time began. As she released each letter into the current, she felt the burden of their stories dissolve into the ancient waters. The river teaches us that holding on creates the very suffering we fear letting go will cause. Release is not loss, but liberation, the opening of hands that allows life to flow naturally through us. When you free yourself from the need to preserve every moment, you discover that your essence remains whole and untouched. Thank what has served its purpose, then allow it to depart with grace. Every ending creates space for new beginnings. Every farewell opens a door to unexpected hellos. Freedom dawns not in accumulation, but in the courage to release what no longer serves your growth. Practice. Find a quiet moment today. Hold one heavy memory in your heart. Thank it for its lessons, then visualize it dissolving into light. Whisper your gratitude and farewell, feeling the spaciousness that remains. In that emptiness, notice how new possibilities already begin to stir. Chapter 13. The Quiet Courage of Now. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a young woman named Nora stood before her merchant stall each morning, arranging and rearranging her wares. She waited for the perfect alignment of circumstances, the right weather, the ideal arrangement, the perfect mood, before truly opening her heart to trade. Days turned to weeks as she polished already gleaming pots and adjusted already balanced displays. The universe speaks through action, not through endless preparation. Each moment holds within it a seed of divine timing, waiting to bloom through your willingness to begin. When you pause for perfection, life's natural flow becomes a stagnant pool, and the very energy you seek to harness grows dim with hesitation. One morning, as clouds threatened rain and her displays remained slightly askew, Nora simply began. Without ceremony or certainty, she stepped forward and greeted her first customer. In that moment of imperfect action, something shifted. A weight lifted that she hadn't known she carried. Her business flourished not because conditions were ideal, but because she had aligned herself with life's natural momentum. True courage manifests not as the absence of fear, but as movement in its presence. Like water flowing around rocks in a stream, spiritual power moves through obstacles rather than waiting for their removal. When you act from this understanding, fear becomes not a wall, but a doorway, not a stop sign, but a stepping stone. In a distant monastery, Gerald wrestled with similar wisdom. Each morning he would wait for perfect stillness before beginning his meditation. His mind needed to be clear, his body comfortable, his surroundings silent. Yet peace eluded him until the day he simply sat, restless thoughts and all, allowing meditation to meet him where he was. In that surrender to imperfection, he discovered that peace wasn't waiting for him to be ready. It was waiting for him to begin. The wisdom of the ages whispers, "Start before you're ready. Move before you're certain. Dance before you know all the steps." The universe responds not to perfection but to participation. When you act from this truth, life meets you halfway, transforming hesitation into harmony, doubt into grace. Sacred practice. Choose one small act that you've been postponing until conditions are perfect. As you feel the familiar tug of fear or doubt, move forward anyway. Notice how calm begins to rise beneath your action, like a gentle tide lifting a boat. Let each breath remind you that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move with it as your companion. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14, The Mirror of Relationships. In a bustling marketplace, Myrna sold intricate tapestries, each thread woven with care. Yet her days were filled with bitterness toward those who haggled over prices or touched her work with careless hands. "They disrespect my art," she would mutter, her heart growing heavier with each interaction. The truth whispers to you through every encounter that stirs emotion. What appears as external friction is the universe's gentle way of showing you where healing awaits within. Each person who crosses your path carries a message. Each conflict bears a gift of self-discovery. When you react strongly to another's words or actions, pause and turn your gaze inward. The intensity of your response reveals not their fault, but a wounded part of yourself calling for attention. This is the sacred alchemy of relationship. Others become mirrors, reflecting back the very aspects of consciousness you are ready to transform. Consider how a calm lake shows you your own reflection. Similarly, your interactions with others display the current state of your inner world. That which triggers resistance often points to where acceptance is needed. What angers you may highlight where you judge yourself most harshly. What frustrates you might illuminate where you deny your own needs. Jasper, a wise merchant, discovered this truth one morning when a friend carelessly knocked over his finest pottery. Instead of letting anger rise, he noticed his racing thoughts. "My work is ruined. I am not respected. I will lose everything." In that moment of awareness, he recognized these fears as old companions that had haunted him long before this incident. As he chose to forgive his friend, he felt an unexpected release. The real liberation was from his own self-judgment. When you embrace each trigger as a teacher, conflict transforms into opportunity. Every person who challenges you becomes a guide, leading you back to wholeness. The universe orchestrates these meetings with divine precision, bringing you exactly the mirrors needed for your evolution. Your reactions are not punishments, but invitations, each one a doorway to deeper self-understanding. When you feel resistance arise, breathe into it. Let it show you where love has yet to flow freely within you. Your greatest growth often emerges from the very situations and people you wish to avoid. Sacred practice. Sit in stillness for a few moments. Recall a recent interaction that caused strong emotion. Rather than reliving the story, focus on the feeling it awakened. Place your hand on your heart and ask, "What part of me needs understanding?" Let the answer arise naturally. This is the ancient practice of using life's mirrors to illuminate your path to wholeness. Chapter 15. The Power of Surrendered Action. Each morning before dawn, Ellsworth would rise, determined to shape the day through sheer force of will. His workshop buzzed with constant activity, sketching designs, answering messages, perfecting his craft. Yet despite his relentless effort, his creations felt hollow, lacking the spark of life he yearned to express. Within you dwells a sacred truth. Achievement flows not from strain, but from alignment. When you push against life's natural rhythm, even success tastes of exhaustion. The universe operates through effortless power. Observe how flowers bloom without struggle, how rivers carve canyons through gentle persistence. Your doing emerges from your being. When action springs from inner turmoil, it carries that discord into form. But when you move from stillness, even ordinary tasks become infused with grace. This is the paradox of sacred action. Less force creates greater impact. The mind believes peace comes after accomplishment, but wisdom reveals the opposite. Peace is not the destination, but the starting point. When you align with the universe's flow before acting, your efforts become expressions of harmony, rather than attempts to achieve it. Inez discovered this truth in her art studio. For years, she had forced herself to paint on schedule, believing discipline would lead to mastery. Her works were technically precise but lacked soul. One day, exhausted from trying, she simply sat before her canvas in silence. As her mind grew quiet, colors began dancing in her awareness. When she finally lifted her brush, it moved with a life of its own, creating images that seemed to glow with inner light. Her paintings transformed from objects into vessels of healing energy, touching viewers in ways technique alone never could. This is the way of aligned action. First become still, then let movement arise naturally. Notice how tension constricts while spaciousness allows. Your most powerful work flows not from pushing, but from allowing. Not from planning, but from presence. The universe does not strain to create galaxies. Your true power emerges similarly, through alignment rather than force. When you act from inner peace, you become a channel for the same creative force that spins worlds into being. Before any significant action, pause. Feel the space within. Let your breath deepen until you sense the quiet strength of being. Then move from that stillness. Your actions will carry the signature of peace rather than the residue of struggle. Sacred practice. Before beginning your next task, sit quietly for a moment. Breathe until you feel your inner space expand. Notice the quality of that spaciousness. Only when you sense peace pervading your being, let action arise naturally. Observe how different your movement feels when it emerges from stillness rather than strain. Chapter 16. The Blessing of Failure. One day, exhausted from trying, she simply sat before her canvas in silence. As her mind quieted, colors began to whisper to her. She waited until each brush stroke arose naturally, born not from effort, but from communion with the moment. Her paintings transformed, carrying an energy that touched hearts because they emerged from presence rather than pressure. This truth echoes through all creation. When you release the grip of control, you align with a greater intelligence. The universe does not strain to manifest. It flows with natural precision. Your role is not to force outcomes, but to attune yourself to this divine current. In the quiet valleys of surrender lies your greatest power. Consider Hattie, whose marketplace stall struggled despite meticulous planning and ceaseless work. Each setback felt like judgment until she stopped fighting them. In accepting her limitations, she discovered something far more precious than profit. She found humility. Through what appeared as failure, her spirit refined itself like gold in fire. This wisdom appeared differently for Clarence, who faced repeated disappointments in his craft. Rather than armoring himself with determination, he learned to laugh at his missteps. His laughter became a form of surrender, lighter than the weight of pride. Through this lightness, he discovered that peace flourishes not in the soil of perfection, but in the garden of acceptance. These stories mirror an eternal truth. The universe operates through surrender, not force. The oak tree does not strain to reach skyward. It grows in harmony with sun and rain, wind and earth. Your actions become powerful when they arise from this same deep acceptance. When you release the need to control outcomes, you open yourself to wisdom beyond planning. This is not passive resignation, but active alignment with life's intelligence. Like a sailor who works with the wind rather than against it, you learn to move with the currents of existence. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment today and bring to mind one disappointment that still lingers. Rather than trying to change or fix it, thank it softly for teaching you patience. Feel how this gratitude begins to transform what once felt like failure into a step on your path of awakening. Let this blessing of acceptance be your guide into surrendered action. Chapter 17. Trusting Life's Timing. In the heart of a bustling city lived a woman named Della, whose life moved at the pace of urgent wishes. Each morning she wrote lists of dreams to manifest. Each evening she measured the distance still to travel. Her determination to accelerate destiny left her breathless, running toward horizons that seemed to retreat with each step. Time became her adversary, every clock a reminder of goals yet unachieved. She studied manifestation techniques, repeated affirmations, and visualized her desires with fierce intensity. Yet the more she pushed, the more life seemed to resist her timeline. The universe operates on a rhythm far more intricate than human schedules. Like a grand symphony, each note must sound at its perfect moment, not a measure too soon or too late. Your role in this cosmic orchestration is not to conduct, but to play your part with grace. When you align with divine timing, you discover that nothing is truly delayed. What appears as postponement often serves as protection, preparation, or the precise positioning of elements needed for your highest good. The universe weaves countless threads to create the tapestry of your destiny, many beyond your current vision. Consider Otis, who inherited a plot of barren land. While others urged him to build immediately, he chose to first plant a garden. Each day he tended the soil with quiet devotion, understanding that growth follows its own sacred schedule. He learned patience not as passive waiting, but as active participation with time's natural wisdom. As his garden slowly awakened, Otis discovered that every seed contains perfect timing within itself. No amount of worry could speed the unfoldment of a flower. No force could rush the ripening of fruit. In this gentle observation, he found peace with his own becoming. The true alchemy of manifestation lies not in hastening time, but in harmonizing with it. When you release the urgency to arrive, you begin to notice the beauty of the journey itself. Each moment becomes not a step toward something, but a complete expression of life's intelligence. Your desires are like seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. They require not your anxious watching, but your trusting presence. The universe knows the perfect season for each blessing to bloom, the exact moment for each dream to materialize. This wisdom teaches that there is no such thing as behind schedule in the eternal unfolding of your path. What appears as delay often serves as divine preparation, creating the precise conditions needed for your good to manifest in its fullest form. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle into your breath. Allow it to slow naturally, matching the unhurried rhythm of nature itself. Feel how each inhalation arrives in perfect timing, how each exhalation releases in its own sacred pace. Rest in this gentle rhythm, trusting that, like your breath, all of life moves in divine order. Let this practice remind you that you are always right on time in the eternal now. Chapter 18. The Joy of Being Alone. In the shadow of ancient mountains, Leona filled her days with noise, endless chatter, constant motion, perpetual connection to others. Her calendar overflowed with appointments, each hour claimed by another's needs. Yet beneath this busyness lay a deep fear of being alone with herself. When illness forced her into isolation, panic rose like storm clouds in her chest. The silence felt like an accusation, the solitude a prison. But as days passed, something shifted within her. The quiet ceased its assault and became a gentle companion. In moments between thoughts, she discovered a presence more intimate than any conversation, the sacred communion with her own being. You too may recognize this pattern, the instinct to fill every moment with sound and society, as if stillness itself were an enemy to be vanquished. Yet the universe whispers its deepest secrets not in chaos, but in quiet. When you step away from the world's clamor, you step into wisdom's embrace. The fear of solitude masks a profound truth. You are never truly alone. In silence, you become aware of the living presence that permeates all things. Your breath joins the wind's song. Your heartbeat echoes Earth's rhythm. Your consciousness merges with the infinite mind that dreams all of creation into being. Clyde discovered this truth on his daily walks by the lake. At first, he brought headphones to drown out his thoughts, his phone to maintain connection. But one morning, the devices lay forgotten at home. As he walked the shoreline, something extraordinary unfolded. The lap of waves became a conversation, the rustle of leaves a choir, the flight of birds a dance performed just for him. He realized he wasn't watching nature. He was nature, experiencing itself through his awareness. This is the paradox of sacred solitude. In stepping away from others, you step into everything. When you release the need for constant external validation, you discover an internal wellspring of peace. The silence becomes not an absence, but a presence, rich, nurturing, alive with possibility. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit or lie comfortably without any electronic devices nearby. Close your eyes and breathe naturally. Notice how the silence holds you, how it creates space for your true self to emerge. Remain here for 15 minutes, allowing yourself to experience the difference between loneliness and solitude. Feel how the quiet moment contains all of existence within it. You are not separate from the symphony of life. You are an essential note in its eternal song. Chapter 19. The Dance of Allowing. In a small town square where shadows grew long in the afternoon sun, Fern stood watching children play. Their laughter echoed against ancient stone walls as they chased each other without plan or purpose. Her own movements felt mechanical, each gesture calculated to project an image of contentment she didn't feel. For years, Fern had pursued happiness like a hunter stalking prey. She created elaborate systems, gratitude journals timed to the minute, meditation tracked by apps, joy scheduled into 15-minute increments. Yet the more she grasped at bliss, the more it slipped through her fingers like morning mist. The universe operates not through force, but through flow. When you release your grip on how life should unfold, you open yourself to how it naturally blooms. True joy isn't manufactured. It emerges from alignment with the rhythm already playing in your heart. Homer discovered this truth in an unexpected place. A retired accountant who had spent decades counting others' fortunes. He found himself one evening in a community dance hall. The music started, and his body began to sway. His first impulse was to correct his movements, to match the precise steps of those around him. But something within him surrendered instead. As Homer allowed his body to move without judgment, decades of rigidity melted away. His awkward steps became expressions of pure being. Others might have seen imperfection, but Homer felt only liberation. In releasing the need to dance correctly, he discovered the joy of dancing truly. This wisdom speaks to the deeper nature of creation itself. The universe doesn't force flowers to bloom or rivers to flow. It allows. When you align with this natural rhythm, life moves through you with graceful ease. Your role is not to manufacture joy, but to remove the obstacles that prevent its natural expression. The sacred practice. Find a private space where you won't be observed. Play music that stirs your soul. Close your eyes and allow your body to move as it wishes, without correction or critique. Let each gesture arise spontaneously, like leaves dancing in the wind. This is not about performing or achieving. It is about remembering the freedom that is your birthright. Chapter 20. The Heart Remembers Home. In the evening shadows of an old courtyard, a young woman named Winifred rushed through her daily routine of forced positivity exercises. Her journal lay open, filled with crossed-out affirmations and half-finished gratitude lists. Each morning began with rigid determination to manufacture joy. Each night ended in exhaustion from the effort. You see, Winifred had mastered the art of pursuit but forgotten the grace of allowing. Like many souls walking this earth, she believed happiness dwelled at the summit of achievement. Her days became an endless climb toward an imagined peak where, finally, she would feel complete. The universe speaks in whispers, and its greatest teachings often arrive in moments of surrender. For Winifred, this moment came unexpectedly. One afternoon, her carefully crafted schedule fell apart. A power outage canceled her online meditation class. Her productivity apps went dark. In the sudden silence, something extraordinary happened. She felt her shoulders soften, her breath deepen. Without the constant drive to improve, enhance, and perfect, Winifred discovered what had always been present, the simple miracle of being alive. The air touched her skin like a blessing. The sound of distant birds wove through the stillness. She realized that love, that most precious essence of life, flows naturally when we stop trying to earn it. This truth echoes through the ages. Consciousness itself is home. When you release the need to become something else, you discover you are already complete. Your presence here is enough. The universe does not demand perfection. It celebrates your existence. Milton, a quiet man who spent years pursuing spiritual heights, found this wisdom while holding his newborn niece. In her pure being, untouched by achievement or striving, he recognized the peace that had eluded his seeking. The baby simply was, and in her presence, Milton remembered how to simply be. The ancient teaching whispers, "You need not earn your place in the cosmos. Your breath is your belonging. Your awareness is your home. When the mind stops reaching for tomorrow's joy, today's sweetness reveals itself." The practice. Find a comfortable space where you won't be disturbed. Let your body settle naturally, without trying to arrange it perfectly. Close your eyes and allow your awareness to rest in the simple fact of being here now. Make no effort to achieve anything, not even peace. Notice how life continues effortlessly. Breath flowing, heart beating, thoughts passing like clouds. Remain here for several minutes, sensing the quiet presence that is always within you, requiring nothing but your recognition of it. Part 3. The Ocean of Creation. Chapter 21. The Still Point of Power. In an ancient marketplace, Agnes tended her small flower stall, arranging blossoms with such presence that passers-by often paused, touched by an inexplicable serenity. While other merchants called out and bargained frantically, she simply allowed her flowers to speak through their beauty. Her business flourished not through aggressive marketing, but through the magnetic power of her inner stillness. When you align with the sacred rhythm of creation, force becomes unnecessary. The universe responds not to the volume of your request, but to the resonance of your being. This truth lies encoded in every seed that sprouts without strain, every dawn that paints the sky without effort. Your power to manifest springs from the well of inner quiet. Like a clear lake that perfectly reflects the moon, a still mind mirrors the infinite intelligence of creation. When thoughts settle like leaves after a storm, divine wisdom rises naturally to the surface. Orville, a humble craftsman, embraced this understanding while creating musical instruments. Rather than wrestling with the wood, he would sit quietly beside his workbench until he felt at one with its natural grain. His finest pieces emerged not from technical skill alone, but from this sacred partnership with silence. The cosmic law reveals itself. Creation flows most powerfully through vessels of peace. Your desires manifest not through the force of will, but through the magnetism of alignment. When you rest in the certainty of being enough, life responds with abundance. When you release the grip of anxiety, opportunities unfold with natural grace. Notice how nature manifests. A flower doesn't strain to bloom. A river doesn't force its path to the sea. Similarly, your dreams materialize most elegantly when birthed from inner harmony. This doesn't mean abstaining from action, but allowing action to arise from stillness rather than stress. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and settle into comfortable stillness. Breathe deeply until your mind grows quiet. Now, rather than picturing what you want, feel the essence of already having it. Let this feeling of completion fill your being. Notice how this state of peaceful fulfillment naturally attracts its physical reflection. Return to this practice daily, allowing your desires to manifest through the power of peaceful presence. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to your words or even your actions as much as it mirrors your state of being. When that state is one of calm certainty, miracles unfold with effortless grace. Chapter 22. The Language of Gratitude. Your power to manifest springs from the well of inner quiet. Like a clear lake that perfectly reflects the moon, a still mind mirrors the abundance of the universe with perfect clarity. When thoughts settle, creation flows naturally, unimpeded by the turbulence of striving. Flora understood this wisdom as she tended her small garden. Each morning, she greeted her plants not with ambition for their growth, but with sincere appreciation for their presence. A single dewdrop on a leaf became cause for celebration. The scent of earth after rain sparked joy in her heart. As she cultivated this practice of gratitude, she noticed something remarkable. Abundance began flowing into every area of her life, not through force or demand, but through the magnetic power of appreciation. The universal law reveals that what you genuinely appreciate appreciates in value. Gratitude is not merely a sentiment. It is a frequency that attunes your being to the natural state of abundance. When you shift from seeking to thanking, you align with the creative force that sustains galaxies. Leland discovered this truth through an unexpected channel. As a shopkeeper, he had always viewed his daily tasks as burdens to endure. One morning, something shifted within him. As he swept his store's entrance, he began silently thanking the broom, the floor, even the dust he collected. He thanked the early morning light streaming through windows he would soon clean. This simple shift transformed his entire experience. Each task became a sacred ritual of appreciation. His store began to prosper, not through strategic planning, but through the subtle power of gratitude. Your relationship with life transforms when you recognize that abundance already surrounds you. The universe does not respond to demands or desperate pleas. It resonates with the frequency of appreciation. Like a flower turning toward sunlight, your consciousness naturally grows toward what you consistently appreciate. Remember, gratitude is not a technique to manipulate reality. It is the natural expression of a heart at peace with what is. From this place of acceptance and appreciation, you become a clear channel through which abundance flows effortlessly. Ancient practice. Sit quietly and sense the stillness within. As you move through your day, silently thank whatever meets your eyes: a stranger's smile, a cup of tea, the ground beneath your feet. Let everything become an invitation to gratitude. Notice how this practice shifts your energy from seeking to receiving, from striving to allowing. Chapter 23. The Harmony of Intention. In the quiet mountains, Ivy filled her days with endless lists of desires. Her mind raced between wanting wealth, recognition, love, and purpose, each goal competing for attention like merchants in a crowded marketplace. The more she reached for everything at once, the more scattered her energy became, until her dreams felt like leaves scattered by autumn winds. Through the noise of her ambitions, a truth whispered, "Intention requires the soil of serenity to take root." Just as a prism focuses light into its purest form, peace distills desire into clear purpose. When the mind settles, intention emerges naturally, like a lotus rising from still waters. The universe responds not to the volume of our wishes, but to the clarity of our vibration. When you align with one pure intention, holding it in the sanctuary of inner quiet, you activate the ancient law of focused creation. This is not the way of forcing or striving, but of allowing your deepest truth to germinate in the fertile ground of presence. Roland, a humble gardener, discovered this wisdom through the simple act of planting. Each spring, while others scattered seeds hastily across their gardens, he chose a single seed with care. This one seed received his complete devotion, his gentle attention, his patient tending, his quiet love. He spoke to it softly, watered it mindfully, and trusted its natural timing. As his neighbors' gardens produced scattered growth, Roland's single plant flourished beyond expectation, its vitality fed by his unwavering focus. Through this, he learned that creation follows consciousness. When attention is unified, energy flows unimpeded. This same principle governs all manifestation. A single intention, held in the heart with peaceful certainty, carries more creative power than 1,000 scattered desires. Like a laser beam compared to diffused light, concentrated spiritual energy cuts through resistance and illuminates the path to fulfillment. The key lies not in the size of your desire, but in the purity of your focus. When you release the need to grasp at multiple outcomes, your natural state of abundance reveals itself. Peace becomes the foundation from which authentic creation springs forth. Ancient practice. Sit in stillness and allow one pure intention to arise naturally from your heart. Feel its essence without forcing or straining. Each day, spend time holding this intention in peaceful awareness, breathing love into it as you would nurture a precious seed. Trust that what grows from this sacred attention will manifest in perfect harmony with the highest good. Chapter 24. The Magnetic Field of Joy. The power of single-pointed intention reveals itself through Roland, a humble gardener who understood this sacred principle. Each morning he would plant one seed with complete presence, tending to it with unwavering attention. He did not scatter seeds hastily across his garden, hoping some might grow. Instead, he chose one spot, prepared the soil with care, and planted with pure focus. His garden flourished not from quantity, but from the quality of his devotion. When you allow your intentions to arise from stillness rather than urgency, they carry the power of the universe itself. Like water finding its natural course, Creation flows most powerfully through channels of peace. Your role is not to force the river, but to clear the path and trust in its wisdom. Nettie's story illuminates another facet of this truth. She had spent years believing joy was a reward that followed achievement. Each accomplishment brought only fleeting satisfaction, leading her to chase the next goal. Then one morning, while watching sunlight play across her kitchen wall, she realized joy was not a destination, but the natural frequency of existence itself. This shift in understanding transformed everything. Rather than pursuing happiness, she allowed it to flow through her as naturally as breath. Life responded with miraculous synchronicity. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, relationships deepened, and even challenges arrived with hidden gifts. She discovered that joy speaks the native language of the universe. Virgil embodied this wisdom in the simplest way. He began smiling at strangers without agenda or expectation. This small act, born purely from the joy of being, created ripples of grace in his world. Doors that once seemed locked swung open of their own accord. People responded to his authentic warmth with unexpected kindness. He had stumbled upon a profound truth. Joy communicates with the universe far more swiftly and surely than any careful plan. When you align with joy as your natural state, you tap into the universe's own creative frequency. This is not the fleeting happiness that depends on external circumstances, but the deep wellspring of delight that flows from simply being alive. From this space, intention becomes effortless, for you are no longer pushing against life, but dancing with it. Sacred practice. Allow yourself to pause throughout the day and simply let joy move through you without reason or purpose. Notice how reality begins to mirror back this frequency in unexpected ways. Like a flower turning naturally toward sunlight, let your being orient itself toward joy and watch as life responds in kind. Chapter 25. The Unseen Help of Faith. In the dawn hours of each day, Goldie would tally her worries like beads on an endless string. How will this work out? Who will help? Where will the means come from? These questions cast shadows across her path until life itself began answering in whispers. First came the small signs, a book falling open to exactly the wisdom she needed, a chance encounter providing unexpected direction, a wrong turn leading to the right opportunity. Yet her mind dismissed these as mere coincidence, refusing to see the invisible hand of grace at work. The universe speaks in patterns too perfect to be random. When you release the need to control every outcome, you begin to notice the subtle choreography of life moving in your favor. This is not wishful thinking, but rather the recognition of a deeper intelligence at work. Through stillness, you discover that support surrounds you like air, unseen yet ever present. The more you trust this truth, the more clearly it reveals itself. Your role is not to manufacture solutions, but to align with the flow, already moving toward your highest good. Chester understood this principle through a profound shift in his approach to prayer. Rather than petitioning for specific outcomes, he began asking simply for the vision to recognize guidance when it appeared. His prayers transformed from desperate pleas into grateful acknowledgement of the support already present. One morning, facing what seemed an insurmountable challenge, Chester sat in quiet receptivity. Instead of strategizing, he opened himself to guidance. Within hours, 3 separate individuals reached out with exactly what he needed: though he had told no one of his situation. This was not luck, but rather the natural response of a universe attuned to hearts that trust. When you step into alignment with this infinite intelligence, coincidences become confirmations. Each synchronicity serves as a gentle reminder that you are never truly alone. The fabric of existence itself conspires to support your unfolding. Let go of the need to see the entire path before taking the first step. Trust that as you move forward in faith, the way will be revealed. The universe responds not to your anxiety, but to your willingness to be led by a wisdom greater than your own. Ancient practice. Sit quietly each morning and declare inwardly, "I am supported." Notice throughout your day the subtle ways this truth confirms itself, through timely meetings, unexpected assistance, or gentle nudges in the right direction. Record these confirmations, building a testament to the invisible support that surrounds you. Chapter 26. The Beauty of Service. A merchant once traveled between distant villages carrying precious silks and spices in his cart. Every evening he would quietly leave small bundles of food near the doors of those in need, never waiting to be thanked. The villagers spoke of a mysterious benefactor, never knowing it was the simple merchant who brought both trade and sustenance to their lands. In life's grand design, the flow of peace moves like water. It must both fill and empty, receive and give. You have learned to cultivate inner stillness, but now comes the sacred art of allowing that peace to overflow naturally into the world around you. When your cup fills with tranquility, it yearns to share its abundance. This is not duty or obligation, but the natural expression of a heart at peace. Like a flower that cannot help but release its fragrance, inner harmony naturally extends itself through acts of kindness. Consider how Opal discovered this truth. Each morning, after sitting in silence, she would carry that settled feeling into small acts of service, arranging flowers in the community center, leaving anonymous notes of encouragement, or simply offering a genuine smile to strangers. She noticed that each gesture of giving didn't deplete her peace, but mysteriously multiplied it. The universe operates through circulation. Breath moves in and out, tides ebb and flow, seasons turn in endless cycles. Similarly, peace must circulate to remain vital. When you hold it too tightly, it stagnates. When you share it freely, it refreshes itself. Sidney learned this wisdom while volunteering at a local shelter. As he ladled soup into bowls, he realized something profound. In that simple act of giving, both he and the recipient were being nourished by the same moment of grace. The roles of giver and receiver dissolved into one flowing current of shared humanity. This is the final alchemy of peace. When inner stillness transforms into outer service, the circle becomes complete. Your tranquility becomes a gift that enriches both yourself and others simultaneously. Like ripples expanding on a pond surface, each act of kindness creates waves of harmony that return to their source multiplied. Ancient practice. Find one opportunity today to offer an anonymous act of kindness. Perform it silently without seeking recognition or reward. As you give, feel how the peace within you grows stronger through sharing. Let the joy of giving be your only witness. Chapter 27. The Light of Forgiveness. In a small mountain village, a wise woman named Tessie carried a heavy burden. Each morning she would wake before dawn to tend her garden, yet the flowers seemed to wilt under the weight of her unspoken grievances. Her hands moved mechanically through familiar tasks, while her thoughts circled endlessly around past hurts, replaying old wounds until they became deeper trenches in her heart. The art of forgiveness stands as one of life's most transformative mysteries. Like a key that unlocks both the cage and the caged, it liberates not only those who receive it, but those who offer it. When you hold on to resentment, you unknowingly dim your own light. The energy required to maintain grievances depletes the very force meant to nurture your spirit's growth. Each grudge acts as a veil between you and life's natural radiance. These veils accumulate slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you notice the world has lost its luster. This is not because joy has departed from life, but because the lens through which you view it has become clouded by unresolved pain. Consider Reuben, who lived in the valley below Tessie's village. For years, chronic ailments plagued his body as he nursed bitter thoughts about those who had wronged him. His shoulders grew tight with tension, his breath shallow with remembered anger. Then one morning, while watching the sun rise over the mountains, something within him softened. He realized his resentment had become a prison, and he alone held the key to its door. As Reuben began releasing his grievances one by one, an extraordinary thing occurred. His body, long burdened by the weight of unforgiveness, began to heal. Color returned to his cheeks, vitality to his step. It was as if he had been living in shadow and suddenly stepped into sunlight. The universe operates through the law of circulation. When you withhold forgiveness, you block the natural flow of life force through your being. To forgive is not to condone or forget, but to release yourself from the bondage of bitterness. It is a gift you give yourself, a return to your natural state of peace. Practice. Find a quiet moment and bring to mind someone toward whom you hold resentment. Breathe deeply and imagine them bathed in the same peace you seek for yourself. Let this visualization become a gentle ceremony of release, allowing both your hearts to be washed clean in the waters of compassion. Chapter 28. The Sacred Flow of Creativity. In a sunlit attic studio, Delia sat before her blank canvas, willing inspiration to appear. Her brushes lay untouched as she mentally sketched plans, each thought more forced than the last. The harder she tried to summon creativity, the more it retreated like a shy forest creature. Hours passed, yet nothing flowed. When you attempt to command inspiration, you stand in your own light. The creative force that moves through all things cannot be seized. It must be received. This ancient truth reveals itself to those who learn to step aside from the mind's constant reaching. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its wisdom flows most freely when you cease the internal dialogue that drowns out subtle guidance. Like water finding its natural course, creativity emerges when you release the need to direct it. Your role is not to force the river, but to remove the obstacles in its path. In the quiet spaces between thoughts lies a wellspring of infinite potential. Here, in the gap between striving and surrendering, true inspiration dawns. This is not idleness, but active receptivity, a state of alert stillness where you become a hollow reed through which the wind of inspiration plays its song. Amos discovered this truth one evening as twilight softened the edges of his world. Instead of wrestling with melodies, he began to hum quietly, asking nothing of the moment. As his voice merged with the gathering dusk, new songs began to whisper through him like gentle breezes through an open window. He had stumbled upon the secret. Creativity flows not from effort, but from alignment. When you align with the natural rhythm of inspiration, ideas arrive with the ease of breathing. They come not as conquered territory, but as gifts received in gratitude. This is the paradox of creative flow. The less you grasp, the more abundantly it arrives. The meaning shimmers clear as morning light. Creation is not a solo performance, but a dance of communion. You are not the source, but the vessel, not the artist, but the brush moved by an unseen hand. In this sacred partnership, your task is simply to remain open, attentive, and willing to be moved by the creative current that flows through all things.
Ancient practice.
Before engaging in any creative endeavor, sit in complete stillness. Let your breath slow until it matches the rhythm of silence itself. Wait without expectation until you feel inspiration's gentle stirring. Only then, when ideas flow like water finding its path, allow your hands to move in harmony with that deeper current. Trust that what needs to emerge will do so in its own perfect timing. Chapter 29. The Infinite Present. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Pearl stood checking items off her endless to-do list. Each completed task brought momentary relief, quickly replaced by thoughts of the next milestone. "Once I achieve this," she whispered to herself, "then I'll feel content." Yet contentment remained ever on the horizon, like a mirage shimmering just beyond reach. The eternal truth stands before you now. Peace exists solely in this moment. When you postpone joy to some future achievement, you miss the gateway to infinity that opens with each breath. The present moment is not a stepping stone to somewhere else. It is the destination you have been seeking. Time is the mind's creation, a useful tool that became your master. Notice how your thoughts constantly drift to yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's promises, while the pure awareness of now remains unexplored. This moment holds everything, the pulse of life itself, the silent witness that observes all changing forms. Look closely at your experience. When has happiness ever existed in the future? When has peace ever resided in a moment other than now? The mind creates an illusion of time stretching endlessly forward and backward. But your direct experience knows only this eternal present. Along an ancient path, Emery walked toward the rising sun. His watch lay forgotten at home, and without its mechanical rhythm, time began to dissolve. As golden light spilled across the horizon, he felt himself merging with the timeless dawn. In that space beyond minutes and hours, he discovered what mystics have always known. Eternity is not endless time, but the absence of time altogether. This revelation points to a profound truth. The universe exists in an eternal now. Past and future are thoughts arising in the present, like waves on the surface of a vast ocean. Beneath these mental movements lies pure awareness, unchanging, timeless, complete. When you align with the present moment, dropping all resistance to what is, you step out of psychological time and into the dimension of now. Here, in this space of pure being, peace reveals itself as your natural state. No achievement is needed, for you are already home. The interpretation of Emery's experience shows that timelessness is not a distant spiritual concept. but an immediate reality available whenever attention rests in the present. Just as the sun does not need to achieve its radiance, you need not wait to be what you already are. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Let your attention rest in the simple awareness of being. Notice how peace is always here, in this moment, requiring nothing but your recognition. Feel the timeless presence that witnesses all experience, unchanged by the coming and going of thoughts. Rest here, allowing each breath to remind you of the eternal now. Chapter 30. Living as Peace. In a quiet corner of an ancient city, Lula rushed through her morning routine, constantly seeking moments of tranquility between tasks. Day after day she chased after peace as if it were a distant treasure, until one morning something shifted. As she reached for her cup of tea, time seemed to pause. In that space between breaths, she realized that peace wasn't something to pursue. It was her natural state of being. The wisdom that unfolds here touches the very essence of spiritual awakening. You need not chase what you already are. When you stop pursuing peace as if it were separate from you, a profound transformation occurs. The very energy of your being starts to radiate what you once sought externally. Like water taking the shape of its container, consciousness naturally fills every moment with presence when you allow it to flow freely. This isn't about adding something new to your experience. It's about recognizing what has always been there, beneath the surface of doing. Warner discovered this truth while sitting in a park. Without trying to achieve anything, without attempting to fix or change his state, a smile naturally arose from within. That smile, born not from circumstance but from being itself, touched everyone who passed by. Some smiled back, others simply felt lighter, but each person was changed by encountering that pure presence. This reveals the deepest teaching. Transformation of the world doesn't require effort or struggle. When you live from the space of natural peace, your very presence becomes a catalyst for change. You don't need to convince others or try to spread peace. You simply need to be it. The shift from seeking to being marks the transition from spiritual seeker to spiritual finder. In this space, every activity becomes infused with presence. Washing dishes, walking to work, or engaging in conversation, all become expressions of the same peaceful awareness. This is not about achieving a special state or reaching some distant goal. It's about recognizing that peace is the background of all experience, the canvas upon which life paints its countless expressions. When you live from this understanding, even the most mundane moments become sacred. Sacred practice. Find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Feel the natural rhythm of your breath. As you open your eyes, maintain this connection to stillness while engaging in your daily activities. Let every movement flow from this space of peace. Whether typing, walking, or speaking, allow stillness to be the foundation of all action. Practice this throughout your day, remembering that you are not doing peace, you are being peace. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Peace is not a destination to reach, but an unveiling of what has always been present within you. Throughout these chapters you have walked a path that leads not forward, but inward, each teaching a gentle reminder of your natural state. The journey was never about adding something new, but about removing the layers that obscured your inherent tranquility. As your awareness deepens, you recognize that every breath carries the potential for awakening. The practices shared here are not techniques to master, but invitations to remember. They naturally dissolve into your being as presence becomes your default state rather than an occasional visitor. In this space of recognition, creation flows with effortless grace. Your actions arise not from mental struggle but from the quiet wisdom of your heart. You find yourself responding to life rather than reacting to it, moving with its currents rather than against them. The external world continues its dance, unchanged in its appearance yet transformed by your perception. The same challenges may arise, but they meet a different you, one who stands in awareness rather than anxiety, in acceptance rather than resistance. This is not the end of a journey, but the recognition that there was never any distance to travel. All along, peace has been the air you breathe, the space in which all experience unfolds. You are both its witness and its expression, its observer and its embodiment. Let this understanding settle into your bones. You are not becoming peaceful. You are peace itself, momentarily disguised as a person seeking it. In this recognition, all seeking naturally dissolves into being. The mirror has served its purpose. What reflects back is your own true nature, awake and aware, present and whole. Your natural state of being is peace itself. Rest here, in this simple truth.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.